Let's talk about some of the trade deadline stuff, and get your overall reactions on some of the moves that went out. Some of the teams that went out there and made some moves to try and attempt to get better. Obviously, you had Darius Smith go to the Detroit Lions. That was probably the worst kept secret. You had Mike Williams go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The move doesn't really move me too much. You had Tre'Davious White go from the Rams to the Ravens. There were a lot of moves out there made from a lot of teams. Steelers went out and traded for Preston Smith. A lot of teams went out there and they tried to get better. Danny, I'm gonna let you take this one away though.
Yeah, so Park, I kind of want to talk about who were your biggest winners and losers, and I think give me one of your winners. And this is when we talk about this team, talk about a team that you know over performed expectation at the trade deadline, or saying, hey, coming out of the trade deadline, we can see them doing something serious that at least it gave their fan base a little more confidence. So who was? Let's start off with the winner.
I think obviously the Lions are like the winner where they filled what might be their only hole on their team right now with Darius Smith. I did really like what the Commanders did. I think it brought some juice to the organization. I think it got fans excited. I think it shows that they're trying to still be competitive, get after it a little bit. But those are really the only two teams that I can think of off the top of my head that I really got excited for. I think a lot of the other moves that happened, especially just on Tuesday, were kind of not really. Again, kind of like a lot of the moves we've seen this year. I'm just not really moved. They don't really feel like significant, impact players. They might get a lot of reps. They might get a lot of run, but I don't think they're going to really change the game. I think Mike Williams is an interesting one. But yeah, it's really those are the only two that I really got excited about.
Yeah, and I think it was really a kind of a quieter trade deadline. I feel like that's kind of some of these NFL trade deadlines. You obviously had the couple big moves before that, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. But we can talk about, before we get to a loser, I want to get your thoughts on the Khalil Herbert to the Bengals, right? That's kind of what trade deadline started off with. What was your thoughts on Khalil Herbert to the Bengals, and how do you think he's going to affect the Bengals running back room?
Yeah, no, I've been a fan of Khalil Herbert for a long time. I really just like his game, and I like what he's going to be able to bring with Chase Brown in the Bengals running back room. I think they both have high end explosive potential. I think Herbert could be more of that more in between the tackle, short yardage style back, and Chase Brown can return to his role as the perimeter guy, or the I'm going to generate explosive plays guy. Kind of keep him fresh so he can rip off some of these longer runs. But yeah, I really do like the pairing. I'm interested to see if they use Herbert as a returner in any capacity. But overall, yeah, I love the addition just because I think they pair well together. I think they're a lot more similar than a Zach Moss and Chase Brown. However, I don't think it's a bad thing.
And that's what we were watching some of his film yesterday and looking at. He was a great returner actually for Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think that's something where he can definitely provide a lot of value. And it's something that, respectfully, I always look at the alternative. What if they didn't go out and get Khalil Herbert? Am I confident in Travion Williams the rest of the season?
Yeah.
Probably not. So I think that they definitely, and at the end of the day, it was a 7th round pick. So you basically got him for a bag of chips. So I think it was a very good move. And we talked about this on the show yesterday. I think there's some value not only for this upcoming week, but there's some value that he can add some serious juice to this rushing attack. And even like you were talking about, at the end of the day, you cannot give Chase Brown 27 rushes. It's just not going to happen, week after week. So to have the two back to back, I think it's a very good pairing. But let's talk about some more of the trade deadline. Was there any players that you expect to be moved that weren't moved, or even just another team that you expected to make a move that was like, damn, they didn't make a move and you would consider them a loser?
I think we can all talk about Dallas and Jonathan Mingo, and that they probably needed to do more. I think that was probably my biggest loser of the trade deadline, because I think they needed more pieces. They had that potential, but now we have the Dak situation going on, and there's a lot going on down in Dallas right now. And I think you can probably consider the Jets a loser, but I wouldn't personally, just because I didn't expect them to really add anything at the deadline. They've been moving all season and during the offseason. So
yeah, I think that when you look at Dallas, I want to talk a little bit more about that real quick. What's your overall thoughts on them? I mean, because there's really two consensus. You got some of the Cowboys fans that are trying to make the Jonathan Mingo trade more than what it is, saying, oh, he can really add a ton to our team this year. Do you think that they messed up not going for more, or what do you think that they should have done? And just what's the state of the Cowboys for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they definitely overpaid for Mingo. I can't, sell Mingo for a fourth rounder in my dynasty leagues. So I don't know how that worked out, but yeah, no, they definitely need more pieces. They feel like an incomplete team, and it really their their situation feels like you could honestly send a number of different positions to Dallas and feel like it was a positive move for them.
Yeah.
And somehow they went out and got a guy and overpaid for a guy that didn't really move the needle. And that was the part for me that would have been more frustrating as a Cowboys fan, considering, you do have some significant holes. You do have some issues you're looking straight down the barrel at, and you didn't really go out and address any of those. But I mean, again, that's just where I think the Cowboys are at right now. Jerry Jones has come out and said that they like what they're working with, and they
Mm.
didn't anticipate doing much. And so, I mean, take that for what it is. But he wasn't lying, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't. We'll talk about them more in a little bit, I'm sure, with our overreaction for week 9. We got 2 comments real quick. Evan Hartman, our guy, he said Steelers didn't move the needle. I would agree. I think that Mike Williams is a good piece. Preston Smith is a fine edge rusher, but like, what is that really doing to change up their team? I think their team, regardless, is going to be a consistent team. They're going to be that 9 to 10 win team. They're going to likely make the playoffs, but is that moving the needle for them in the playoffs? So, what was your thoughts on what the Pittsburgh Steelers did at the deadline?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I like that they went and added a receiver. I like that it was a receiver in Mike Williams, who I felt like needed to get out of the situation he was in. I think he'll bring some juice as far as, just being happy to be anywhere else than where he was at.
Yes.
But Preston Smith, right? I don't know what he's necessarily going to bring in as far as impact. I don't know if maybe he's just a guy they liked and they wanted to bring in, but usually kind of these trade deadline moves are guys you expect to be impact players right now. And I just don't understand. Like, I don't see the plan for him necessarily in this defense, but I mean, I'm sure it's exciting for him getting traded to, this defense that looks like it can be one of the best defenses in the league when everything's
Mhm.
all said and done. So, I mean, I got to trust their moves. They seem to know what they're doing over there. But I think out of the two of them, Mike Williams was probably the more exciting move. But I don't see necessarily him being a huge impact guy for them down the stretch and like getting them, over the hump.
Yeah, he's good, and he can be a nice piece opposite of George Pickens, but like you said, at the end of the day, is he gonna be the guy getting them over the hump? Probably not. Mercer said DJ Moore should have been moved. I think DJ Moore was an interesting one. I'm curious to get your thoughts. What was your thoughts on the whole him walking off the field yesterday? He was,
Yeah.
went in and the press conference said, I rolled my ankle, and so I was just walking off. I was hurt. Do you think that the Bears should have moved DJ Moore? And do you think it's just a broken relationship?
I mean, you can definitely try to move him, but he just barely got his extension, right? So I mean, he's probably a really tough guy to move right now with that dollar value that's attached to him. Our team is really going to want to pay for that. They're probably getting lowballed like crazy for DJ Moore. I'm sure they got calls on him, but I think they're just in a situation where he's a hard guy for them to move right now. And I have the same kind of issue with, not necessarily issue, but with Odunze, as far as that's a
Mhm.
very crowded wide receiver room. So I don't think any of those guys between DJ, Rome, and Keenan are going to be too happy, because there's too much talent in that room, and then their quarterback's not performing at a level where it can really get the ball spread to all the talent. So I've been waiting for something to happen, and I think, if you're injured in the middle of a play, like, there's nothing wrong with trying to, get out of the quarterback's view so he doesn't try and
Mhm.
toss you the ball. Like, I mean, you can't just walk off the field,
And
man.
sit on the bench.
Everybody knows you can't just walk. Oh, it's still going. Oh, well, good luck. I hope they're all right out there. Hope they, I try and take a guy,
Yeah.
try and obstruct the defender. That was something. And then I kind of just giggled when he came out. I said, well, I rolled my ankle. Just wanted to get out of there. Didn't want to. And I was like, oh, well, just stand on the sideline, tap yourself out. You'll be all right. You'll be able to get out of there. That
Exactly.
was
Um,
quite something.
yeah, and I think just real quick on that, yeah, man. It's time and time again, you just see how he's interacting with Caleb Williams. It's just not going well. Like, he's interacting, he brushes Caleb Williams on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It ain't going well over there in Chicago for him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But one thing's for sure, they're stuck with him right now. Trade deadline is passed. They're stuck with him. They got to find a way to figure it out. I think DJ Moore is just a guy that wants to win at all costs. And, obviously, you get two competitive guys or very competitive guy going from a crappy situation to a situation he assumes is going to be better. And then it goes to a situation where it's equally bad. Not as bad. They've got the franchise quarterback in place. They probably need a new head coach, new offensive play caller. But those are all fixable things. But again, DJ Moore is a guy that's getting older in his career. He wants to sort of win now. So I get it.